Hello, Freedom Nation, and welcome to the new year, 2024. I believe this is our second interview of the year, and I'm super excited today to introduce you to Madhu Dasa. You're going to hear a really interesting story about how he began his life, or his, we'll call it working career, as a Buddhist monk, and then has moved on from there to help more and more people get a little bit of inner peace along with business success. So Madhu, welcome to the show, bud.
So grateful to be here, getting to actually talk about stuff with you that's relevant and helpful. A lot of things to talk about in this world, but the things
and all these people kicking off the new year here thinking, well, it's going to be different this year, and then probably giving up a week or two into it. So let's give them some encouragement to move on. So why don't we start off? Let's talk about your story. How did you get off to where you are today?
Well, long story short, on my 18th birthday, I shaved my head and became a celibate monk. And not exactly what all 18-year-old young men decide.
Not so much, yeah. It's not the usual path unless you grew up in a Buddhist country.
Yeah. And there's various types of monks out there. The particular type of monk, the lineage that I came in is called Bhakti Yoga, which is a very... It precedes various types of religions and traditions that are out there. At least only 5,000 years old. That's it. And I had searched various types of traditions and whatnot, and I found this one that was able to answer a lot of questions for me that I had been asking even from a young age. Who am I? Why am I here? What is my purpose? What is the world around me? What's the nature of spirituality, divinity, etc.? And I finally found something that could answer my questions in a very satisfying way. And I was going to college, and I thought I could keep doing this, or I could go, what do they say? Take the path
less
per
traveled,
se,
yes.
and spent half a decade as a student monk, living mostly in India, 6 months a year in India, and then the other 6 months in monasteries in the West. And after 5 years of that, I graduated the monastery, became a normal person, hence the hair, the non-robes, and I wouldn't call me normal. And then the last 7 or 8 years is when I've ventured into being an entrepreneur and helping people ultimately with their health and their wealth.
I love this. So how do you go from monk to coach, basically? It's an interesting travel.
Yeah, I never in my life would have thought, I want to be a business owner. And anyway, it's very crazy. But going from a monk, no possessions. I mean, we had one size fits all orange robes. It's not like, what color am I going to wear today? Okay, orange. What's my hair do? A very simple lifestyle and no possessions, sleeping on the ground, etc. And so what happened was I got a taste for renunciation, for a simple life. There's a satisfaction in having minimal responsibilities, frankly. So after graduating the monastery, I realized, don't want to sleep on the ground anymore. Don't want to live off of nothing anymore. And so I realized I have to do something. Money is such a beautiful thing because money's not good or bad. It's an energy, just like a knife isn't good or bad. A knife can be used as a surgeon to save somebody's life in surgery. It could be used to kill someone, stab someone. The thing isn't good or bad. It's just how you use it. So when I realized that, money isn't good or bad, it's something that can be engaged to not only help improve my quality of life, but improve the quality of lives of other individuals. At that point, I started to figure out how can I teach the mindfulness and the meditation I had learned for many years, as well as the holistic health that we learned as being a monk. And I did that for years and failed terribly at first for the first couple of years. But then eventually, after getting the proper education, I created first a 6-figure business, and that doubled, and then it became 7. And like that, it kept expanding. And then before I knew it, all I wanted to do is help other people do that. So the last 3 years I spent just helping mostly in the wellness space as well, like holistic health and wellness, helping them create sustainable businesses as a way to really try to contribute, because helping people individually was great, but I can only help so many people at a time. So better is to help a bunch of people who are then going to go help a bunch of people. In this way. And that's how it slowly but surely manifested into what we are blessed to get to do.
And I think it's really interesting because those of us that have been in the business community, in most cases, you go to any type of a situation and you can't swing a dead cat without hitting a consultant or a coach. But as I was reading your story, I could see how you have more street cred, let's say, with somebody that's in the wellness space, because most people that are in the wellness space, that are in that kind of self-help space, let's make it simple. They're not typically great business people. They want to help. I mean, they're good at helping people, but it's almost like they feel bad about taking money as a result. So you kind of have more street cred going in that, hey, I mean, you can't be more, I want to help people and not get anything from it than a monk. And if I can do it, you can do it.
That's my saying. It's like if a chump and I grew up with not exactly poverty. My parents, paycheck to paycheck every week, and they did their best. And I'm outrageously grateful for the life they provided me. I have nothing but appreciation. And then I became a monk with nothing. Yeah. So I spent my whole life, the first 20 something years of my life, without knowing money and having money. And I remember the first time in my life being in my mid 20s, having more than like $1,000 to my name and being like, this is crazy. So yes, if I, who went from nothing, could do it, without a doubt, somebody who has much more other gifts and talents is for sure they can do it as well. That's my motto. If I could do it, 100% you could do it too.
So let's talk a little bit about the process. So let's say I am a wellness coach. I'm not as successful as I want to be. What's the process of you working with me?
Yeah. So most of the people nowadays, like I mentioned, working with this, we call them wellness entrepreneurs. So it's everyone from like wellness professionals to wellness coaches to maybe a couple of relationship coaches as well, coaching, consulting space, as well as like professionals. And it's always the same protocol. We always start with the mind. So we have a system called the monk mindset method, which is how to actually be in control of your mind so it doesn't control you, because without effort, it will control us. There's 100% chance it will control us. And fascinatingly, the mind is the only thing in this life that we can actually fully control. There's the body, there's so much that goes on. I mean, you can't control a sneeze. You can't control evacuation. Like there's so few things you can actually control, but the mind is the one thing you can. And so we first and foremost, for anyone, no matter where they are in their life, is create a proper mindset. And mindset can be kind of kitschy, and it's like, what does that even mean? It really means you are able to befriend the mind and work with the mind in such a way so that you can actually do and practice the habits and behaviors that will amount to a successful life. In other words, do what you want when you want to do it, as opposed to just fighting with the mind. And so we have a whole protocol with how to do that. We can maybe break into some of those tools and practices today. And then we get into the systems, because it's growing business and making money. It's just knowledge. It's just like learning anything else. You want to become a great snowboarder, you learn all the techniques. You want to become a great lawyer, learn all the techniques. And so once we develop the mindset, then we actually get into the strategies of how do you create your services and package them in a way that people would feel dumb saying no to. They go, oh my God, of course I need this. How do you find the people that want your help? How do you actually sell them in a way that's conscious? We call these conscious closing system, means never using manipulation tactics or coercion. Just how do you sell people who want to be sold? And then how do you scale that? It's a fairly simple system, but always start with the mindset. Then you get into the knowledge. And we also help people still with mindfulness and meditation and holistic health, all that stuff, because who cares? You can have all the money in the world, but if you feel like garbage, who cares? So anyway, these are kind of a small taste of some of the types of things that we like to use to help and serve.
I love it. Love it. So I start working with you. We start with the mind. We start then working in the business. As I'm moving on, how do I know that things are moving in the right direction?
Yeah, so it really comes down to how you define success, because the right direction means the direction that I want to be moving in. In order to know what direction you want to be moving in, we must have some idea of what I value. Like, what is it that's important to me? What do I actually value? And amongst our values, we will consider success differently. So for someone, when I get the car, I'm successful. For someone, when I have the time, I'm successful. For someone, it's when I can be with my family. It's like we all have these different versions of success that we give. But what I like to do is essentialize, what do we absolutely know? What could we unanimously decide is success? And if we boil all our values down, we'll find that relationships always seem to be at the top. Relationships and health over money. Because again, if somebody said, here's $1 quadrillion and you get anything you want, whatever you want for the rest of your life, you have it. You're on an island. You cannot see anyone or have any pets, any humans, no relationships for the rest of your life. No one's taking that deal. Why? No. Because relationships we value more. Or if I say, here's all the money in the world, but you're not going to be able to think straight and you're going to feel like garbage all the time. No one's going to take that. So in the same way, we can deductively see that improving the quality of our relationships and the quality of our health are really the quintessential focuses in life. And with that, there's obviously purpose. There's nuance to this, but I mean to say that if we look through, we'll see what's actually important. So the way I like to define success, or the way that we know we're moving in the quote unquote right direction, is that you're doing the things you want to be doing when you want to be doing them. In other words, you're doing your values in the priority you want to be doing them consistently. Right. I don't believe that success is something you achieve. I believe success is something that you can build to have on a daily basis, because tomorrow is never promised. It's certainly most not guaranteed. So a successful life isn't something that you get to. A successful life is something you create in the present. And what that means in the most simple form is, am I doing what I actually want to be doing? A little caveat, a little asterisk above want. And I would say it's like what the soul, the real you wants to be doing, not just what my mind wants. Do I want to be eating 30 cupcakes? Yeah, sure. My mind wants to do that sometimes, but like the real you, am I doing what the real highest potential core centered version of me wants to be doing? That is success.
Yeah. So many people measure that success by that car or that watch or that house or whatever. But I know a lot of really unhappy rich people that have made their life completely focused around possessions and everything else, and not about those things that, like you said, at the core. And I know a lot of unhappy business people that don't really feel like they're getting to that core part of things. But there's always that little, the way I always see it, there's always kind of that little fight that goes on in there that, okay, well, I want to do what feels right, but then I'm not making money, so I've got to do this other thing. And I like what you do of balancing that out to say, okay, you can be here, but you can also make money doing it at that point, and probably you'll make more money.
Yes,
I would assume.
Yeah. If you could, the way we like to say is, if you can monetize what you're going to do with or without making money, then you're living a successful life, because you're doing what you're going to do. Your hobby, your vocation, your gift, your dharma, your purpose, whatever term somebody get, your ikigai. There's tons of terms and tons of different languages we might use. But the idea is, if you're doing what you're meant to be doing and you figure out a way to monetize that, then of course you'll be successful. And then, I'm grateful for our Tesla. I'm grateful for our watch. I'm grateful for the house. They're great, but things never equal happiness. It's a completely different category. Happiness is that inside job, as you so eloquently alluded to. And so therefore you can have as much as you want, as long as there's a clear idea that this thing is only going to provide me a few moments of satisfaction. And really, we use things to help more people, because that's where real happiness actually comes from, is from service and contribution, because no one is actually happy just taking and consuming. We are only happy in the sense of giving. So use those things to use your car to go to places to help people. Use the house to use all your things to actually contribute to society in a valuable way. And that's where happiness will actually come.
That's awesome. So what type of programs do you deliver? So is it all individualized coaching, or do you deliver through group settings or workshops, all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, all of the above. So primarily, we have retreats that we do around the world. So in 2 weeks from today, we're bringing 45 people to India for our India pilgrimage, which every year we bring a bunch of folks there to have a transformational experience. And we got something coming up in Bali, and we did Greece a couple months. So I love retreats. I'm a big fan of taking people and having an in-person experience. But yeah, we have group coaching where we support lots of individuals at the same time in community. We have one-on-one. One-on-one is much more for those who are doing the dang thing, as we like to say, like people who are really enmeshed in it and they're just needing support with their mind, as well as how to scale that. But we have groups, and we give everything for free, actually, on our platforms. We just give all our content away for free, with the hope that anyone who will do it themselves can. And we just sell implementation. People who don't want to have to figure it out themselves and recreate the wheel, we do it with them. And so that's more our approach, which is a little different than the coaching, which is like, you have the knowledge, you pay me, which I don't have an issue with, but that's just different than our style. Yeah.
Yeah. That's what makes you happy. And like you said, if somebody can figure it out on their own, then okay, hopefully I've helped you along the path. And we're always here. If you get down the path and figure out that's not the path you wanted to be on, you're always there. So I see the value of that all the time. I mean, the more you give, usually the more you get in the end. What are you working on? Yeah. What are you working on for the future here?
With our community, we've had a community for a long time, but we recently moved to a super dope platform. Many people who are entrepreneurs, you'll know that you have this system for communicating. You have this place to host your content. You have this place for your calendar. You have everything's all over the place, but there's a platform we recently started using and that we're moving our community onto, which is just like, oh, it's so cool. It's called Skool, Skool. Some people might be familiar, but we have that and we have it integrated with some other cool things we're doing. And it's such an amazing community that not only do we have the community meaning the members are there and everyone's like supporting one another back to back, because there is no competition. We're all here to help. There's too many people that need to be helped. Then we have the time to try to fight who's going to help them. We all got to be helping together. And then we also have all of our free courses hosted there, everything from the monk mindset method to our conscious closing systems, how to sell without using manipulation tactics, to holistic health through Eastern medicine, to tons of different stuff that we have, how to host your own retreat, etc. It's nice to have all that in the same place where members can engage, they can consume the content, etc. So I'm stoked about that new update that we're getting to do, because there's nothing more satisfying than every day.
One of the guys I follow that's in the Amazon space, his stuff is hosted on Skool, which I had never come across before. I was like, I usually know all these things, and I hadn't seen that one before, but I like that approach of let's put everything in one spot, because I think the challenge that we face today is we're relying on social media a lot of times to be that place where your community gathers. The more that you separate your community from your content and everything else, the harder it is for people to interact. And then you're playing the Facebook game of, okay, well, yes, this is your community, but it's on our platform, so we're going to limit who can actually see what's going on and everything else. So that's really, it's interesting. I haven't had a chance to play around with it enough to really know the benefits of it versus some of the other platforms. But yeah, I do agree with you. It is fantastic.
Yeah, nice to not have an algorithm, as we like to say. It's like you have a community without an algorithm. So you see what you want to see, you don't see what you don't.
Yeah. And if you don't want to see it, you can just move on to the next thing. Don't worry about it. All right. Exactly. Well, let's switch gears here a little bit and talk about the fast 5 questions now. You ready?
Ready.
All right. So this will be a breeze for you. You wake up in the morning, business is totally gone. You have a laptop computer, place to stay, $500 in your pocket, and food and clothing. What do you do first?
Yeah, it's very easy. If I have a phone, I'm going to grab my phone. If I don't have a phone, I'll find a phone. And the simplest way is call everybody, because the cool thing is if you can provide value to someone, and value can be very small. It doesn't have to be anything crazy. I find some way to provide value. If you call everyone, the cool thing is they themselves are either interested and then you make them a deal they can't refuse, or number 2, they know someone who's interested and you make that person a deal they can't refuse. And this is what we believe when it comes to sustainable business. If you just talk with enough people and provide them enough value, you're going to get enough yeses that you will have more money than you know what to do with it. And then I'd probably take that 500 and give it to charity and then make a bunch of money.
Well, telling some guy that at age 18 that became a monk, hey, you've got a laptop and $500, it's like, holy crap, I could live for a year on that.
It's enough. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, I'm not living on the floor, so that's a good start. What is the biggest business mistake you've ever made?
I drank the Kool-Aid of what I like to call we call it like a false abundance mindset. I see in the industry this idea pushed that it's pretty much people saying you should buy what I want with the hopes that you'll make as much money as you want. They use it under the guise of abundance mindset. I kind of drank this Kool-Aid of misunderstanding, thought, I'll spend as much as I want. And the universe has my back. Yeah, of course the universe has my back, but the universe gives me what I need, not necessarily what I want. Yeah. And so the biggest mistake that I really made was leaning into just unabashedly spending on whatever I wanted and this, that, the other. And then having repercussions of that, not only in my own experience of materialism, because again, things don't make us happy. And I forgot that per se. And I never even forgot it. I had this idea of like, oh, okay, maybe this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And what happened was we're okay. But then what happens, I taught that idea to others, which it could be such a poison in one's mind, because again, it leans one towards materialism that, oh, if I get whatever I want, then I'll have X, then I'll be happy, then I'll be successful. That mistake. And we had a lot of challenges that came out of that we had to pivot around, but it ultimately stifled my ability to just serve unapologetically. And so that really was the biggest mistake that I made and that I shared and taught with others.
Love it. What's a good book that you'd recommend for our audience?
Yeah, it's slightly counterintuitive because it's not directly about, say, business or money, but it's about, it trains the perspective. It's a philosophical book that trains the perspective around money, and it's called the Bhagavad Gita. And there's many translations of it. The few that I love is there's the Comprehensive Guide to the Bhagavad Gita. I mean, Henry David Thoreau, Ralph Waldo Emerson, Mahatma Gandhi, Einstein, Martin Luther King, you name it, they read it. It's the book. It's 5,000-year-old literature teaching on the philosophy of self and nature around us. There's the Comprehensive Guide to Bhagavad Gita as it is, Gita Wisdom. There's a ton of great translations out there that are authentic. And what that does is, it helps us understand our deeper purpose so that we can act from that place. And that is sustainable fuel as opposed to acting off motivation, which is not always there.
Yeah. It's the first time I've heard that one on the show. So I think that's awesome. And this was the one your dad bet $100 with you, right?
Yeah, when I was 16 years old, because I'd been studying philosophy and theology, but it was all Western philosophy. That was just what was available in school. So I was curious, but I was always like, yeah, this is okay. Like, this is cool. And it was like a little unsatisfying because I still had so many questions unanswered. And then my dad, my parents were kind of into spirituality to a certain degree. And I remember he was like, you read the Bhagavad Gita? I was like, oh, Dad, I don't want your weird Eastern stuff. I don't want
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, but then he said, I'll give you $100 to read it. I said, oh, say less. And I read it, and I felt simultaneously so dumb that I had been rejecting it, and then so happy, like so many questions that went unanswered. Just immediately, one time through, I got answers to questions I didn't even know I had. I didn't take the money. I said, I was so excited. I said, just keep the money. You changed my life, Dad.
That is awesome. That is awesome. What's a tool that you use in your business every day that you might recommend for our audience?
Yeah, we really like this Skool platform, Skool. And it's really relevant for community. If you host courses, content, community, like, we've found it to be so beyond helpful, because again, to have one place for all people to go to without an algorithm, they can make the settings however they want. And then you can really nurture and really serve and empower people. We found Skool to just be a total game changer. And there's a bunch of other systems we use, but the Skool, nowadays we're having our clients just do Skool. Like, they don't even need CRMs, like Go High Level, which we're using. Anyway, a bunch of tech that we use, we don't even need it anymore. We could just use the Skool platform. So that's something I think people can check out. And we have actually discount stuff that we could send people if they want to discount. Anyway, details.
That's awesome. Yeah. That's fantastic. Final question. What is your definition of freedom?
Freedom goes back to what we were alluding to before, which is doing what you want when you want. That's the simplest way to put it. Freedom means doing what you want when you want to do it.
I love it. Love it. Well, Madhu, so where would someone get a hold of you or learn more about you? Where's the best place?
Yeah, on all platforms, it's madhu.life. That's MADHU, madhu.life. Madhu.life, that's on all of our socials. That's our website, our emails, info@madhu.life. Pretty much anywhere you want to find me, look up madhu.life. And then what I'd like to do, just out of gratitude for you hosting such a labor of love of this podcast that just makes it so accessible for us to get to talk about these things, so accessible for us listeners to actually be able to learn together. What I'd like to do is I have a little gift for anyone that is listening to this. And what we'll do is, if you send me the word, how about freedom? That seems relevant. Right. If you send me the word freedom on any platform, not only will I give you access to all of our free courses and community, which I'm a little audacious to say, but it's like better than a lot of these 20, 30K masterminds that are out there, and we just give it. But I have a specific resource that I think will be really relevant to your people around how to create a freedom day lifestyle, as we call it. So if you send me the word freedom, I'll get you access to pretty much everything, as well as this little extra gift.
Brilliant. Well, man, I appreciate that. Thank you so much. And audience, you heard it. The man's giving it to you for free. So just anywhere on madhu.life whatever platform you're looking at. I would encourage you to go to his website. I learned a ton about him today on this website, and he's just a great guy, and I love his mission. And I want to encourage you guys to go there, because the most important part, it's not about the money. It's not about I can stick it to my boss. It's about having an abundant lifestyle that you get to live, do what you want, when you want, how you want, and you have someone that's willing to share his information with you. So make sure you go there. And as always, make sure that you subscribe to the channel. Make sure that you give us a little upvote if you can. And make sure, if you're listening, you give us a 5-star if you can. Share your comments. We'll share anything that comes up with Madhu as well. And thank you for always being here. Looking forward to another great year with you.